Willi Castro is headed to the All-Star game, and we're really excited for him. He is replacing Jose Altuve on the roster. He'll be a utility man in the All-Star game here next week, and we are so excited. So let's get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNEN. Joining me is Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown. Set him straight, Dave.
What's up, Brandon? We're celebrating Willi Castro making the All-Star team. It's a very much a deserving thing. That the Twins have a couple other guys who might make the All-Star team. We'll see what happens when in the next few days when those reserves and people who are ejected for usage purposes don't make the squad.
Ejected, dejected, rejected, you name it. That could be the case for a number of players. By the way, I have been watching the Twins for 30 years, covering them for about half that. Dave, what about you?
Same. No, I'm a different person. I'm not you. I've been in the Baseball Writers Association since 2012 and have been covering baseball in general, but not in Julien, since about 1998. So those are my papers.
Well, hey, we definitely appreciate that. Today's episode of Locked On Twins is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Also, thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, or you might also be hanging out with us on YouTube, which is a whole lot of fun. And as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we are your team every day. Don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Twins. Twins opening a 3-gamer over the weekend in San Fran. It's Joe Ryan, it's Kyle Harrison, and first pitch at Oracle Park is scheduled for 9:15 p.m. on Friday. So enjoy your Thursday off and get some rest because it's going to get pretty late on Friday night.
Okay, bye. Oh, you don't mean me.
No, not you, Dave. Not you at all. But Joe Ryan, Kyle Harrison, you got Semien, Woods, Richardson, and Hayden Birdsong, and Chris Paddock against Blake. Don't call me Ian Snell. Should be an interesting series. But before we get to that, let's give some love to Willi Castro. I would have to say, I don't recall a better minor league signing, maybe ever, in my memory. For the Twins, I think Brian Harper was a minor league signing in the 89 range, but I'm not sure about that one. And I think, didn't a few years ago, Brandon Drury sign as a minor league free agent and then have a really nice year for the Reds and then sign with the Angels? I think that was another one. But as far as minor league signings go, Twins knocked this one pretty much out of the park.
I didn't realize that he was so that was with an invitation to spring training kind of a deal when they brought him in.
Yeah, the Tigers just cut him loose. I think he was must have been ARB1, and they just decided it wasn't going to happen.
That might have been the of all the things that didn't go right in the Al Avila era. This has got to be up there with one of the big mistakes of his life. And I was looking at that. I remember being a little surprised at the time that they would have let Willi Castro go. At the time, he was 25 years old. The Tigers much deeper into their rebuild or whatever you call it than they are right now. But I remember looking at, after the fact, at their roster on Baseball Reference and seeing just how underwater and under average all of their players were. It was incredible. It's rare. I mean, what was their record that year? Let me see if I can find it. It was only 66 and 96, but offensively, Tucker Barnhart, 40% below league average. Spencer Torkelson, 26% below league average. Jonathan Scope, 40% below league average. Even though Willi Castro was at an 86 OPS plus, that's still better than most of the guys listed. There were only 2 players on that entire roster who were above average: Eric Haas, and for about 115 plate appearances, Kerry Carpenter. Everyone else was. It was just a curious decision, especially for a guy who showed some of the same types of skills with the Tigers that he's shown with the Twins, an ability to play multiple positions pretty well, a little power, a little speed, just a versatility, the kinds of details that any team could use. But the Tigers, for some reason, whatever his arbitration number was, it must have been so high that they didn't even want to give a second thought.
Yeah, I would have to go back. Matt Schwartz from, well, I don't know where he's at now. I think he's MLB trade rumors, but he was at times Baseball Prospectus with me back in the day would do the arbitration eligible projections and give you an idea of what guys will, in general, expect to get or what they think will be the number. But I can't imagine Willi's was much higher than $1 million or $1 million and change, and because I think he's 3.3 this year, his second year with the Twins. And so, yeah, I mean, that to me, especially when you look at a team that has not and is not flush with offensive talent in terms of young or just established players, again, it makes no sense. They also, and I don't remember exactly how this one went, but didn't they have Harold Ramirez too, the guy that went over to the
they had Harold Castro.
Okay,
Your Harold, they did have a Harold, but it was a different Harold.
My mistake. But they've had, guys that they've let go where it's like, you guys, you're starting the leftover, whatever's left of Gio Urshela on your infield right now. You could be playing some young guys and giving yourself a shot. And instead, now you're limited to being a hate watch for people because they're playing the Guardians while you're recording your show.
Well, it's still not. I mean, you still look at the Tigers lineup, and they are better than they were a couple years ago, but they're not on the verge of. They're still talking about possibly moving Tarek Skubal at the All-Star at the trading deadline. So they don't. I don't know why AJ Hinch has got to be disappointed or upset or something that he's kind of stuck around there. And manager jobs are they're few and far between. So it's got to be really bad to leave, but this can't be what he envisioned signing on there a bunch of years ago, where the Tigers are still, trying to hold on to finish 500 maybe. We'll see if they're able to do that.
But if you trade Jack Flaherty, which I think we all agree is quite likely, and for any reason somebody bowls you over for Tarek Skubal, that's a hard reset, is it not? I mean, Spencer Torkelson, he's not in the major leagues right now. I mean, he's a non-factor to this point. I still think, he's right now going down the path of Andrew Vaughn. I'm not saying he is Andrew Vaughn, but that's the risk that you run when you draft a corner guy that's destined to play first base and they don't hit enough. Now, I think Torkelson can still be better than he has and better than Vaughn, but at some point, if you trade Flaherty, and I think they're going to, the one guy that I think if I was looking to trade for a pitcher and I would overwhelm someone for, Skubal might be on that list. Now, again, for the Twins, that's probably not likely just due to the divisional stuff. But again, it's possible you could argue the Tigers are closer to hitting reset again than they are contending.
It's been a couple years, I think, but what was that trade that the Twins? I had this in my head the other day that they had made a trade a couple years ago with the Twins. So it was a previous administration. This is not with the Tigers. I'm sorry, the Twins and Tigers did make an intra-divisional trade. It was I don't remember what it was.
Michael.
Yeah, it was. That's right. That's right.
Long. Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah,
he's still there.
Yeah. So, and we'll see what he produces, but so at least in the Avila era, that they weren't afraid to trade within the division with somebody. So, and the Twins weren't afraid to trade either. So I'm not saying, I don't think that means that Tarek Skubal is coming, but maybe Mark Hanna is coming. I don't know.
Yeah, so, I could see that, and we actually are probably going to have an episode to that effect here in the near future, whether it's during the break or maybe as soon as Friday. But with that said, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll give some more love to Willi Castro, because I don't think you can really understate the value he has provided to this Twins team now for a year and a half worth of games. So let's do that. Let's take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we'll get really, really excited about Willi Castro. Oh boy, I was hitting the wrong buttons here. We do have to give some love for our friends over at Stitch Fix. I'm wearing my Stitch Fix jacket right now. It's nice and cool in my office. Not so much outside. It's about 86 degrees outside. So I won't be wearing it out, but definitely wearing it in. And you get kind of a fun confidence boost when you got some nice clothes. What was it? Ricky Henderson said, look good, play good. And so that's what I get with Stitch Fix. Look good, podcast good. You can easily, though, upgrade your wardrobe with a professional stylist who helps you find new on-trend favorites that will work for you. You just give your stylist your size, your style, and budget preferences, things you will wear, things you won't wear, colors you will wear, colors you won't wear, and they send it out to you. You thumb through it. Whatever you like, you keep. Whatever you don't, they pay for you to ship back. And if you keep all of it, you get a nice little bonus. I believe it was 20% off if you keep all 5 items. So keep an eye out for that as well. And the fits are on point, or they make it right for you. You send it back and get size up, size down. You know, that's the difficulty with online shopping and clothes. You never really know for sure. Stitch Fix takes care of that. Shipping, returns, and exchanges, always free. Style that makes you feel as you look. New style makes you feel as good as you look. Sorry. Now is the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off each of your first fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 10 days of sign up. Offer does not include kid fixes. I have to be so careful, you know, Dave, on baseball Twitter with the spoonerisms. It's like fish sticks. It's like saying fish sticks, Stitch Fix. And I make
You're making me hungry, Brandon. Don't do that.
Well, I make that joke in my head all the time. So, yeah. But hey, here on Locked On Twins, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for the Twins, whether it's off-season, the draft, which is very, very soon, spring training, playoffs. It's all year round. But you know what else is all year round? And Tax Network USA wants you to know about it. It's collections season. Just because tax season is over, that magical day in April has passed, doesn't mean that the IRS is going to call off the dogs. They're still going to come after you if you owe. They want it. They need it. They're coming to get it. And the IRS can garnish your wages. You can levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. If you're an independent contractor on a number of different things like I am, you want to have someone looking out for you to make sure that you not only get the right amount saved to pay off your liabilities at the end of the year, but deductions. Did you buy something for your business? Did you have a service that you can write off? All of this stuff is very important to make sure that you pay the right amount of tax that is best for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved clients over $1 billion in tax debt, whether you owe taxes, have complicated taxes, or you finally hit that parlay and you just need help filing correctly, from our friends over at Prize Picks. If you need all that, you just call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon, or even better yet, click below in the description of the show. We've got a link down there for you. It's super easy to click, and you can get some help with your taxes. It's Tax Network USA. Don't face the IRS alone. All right, Dave. Yeah, Willi Castro. It is funny to me that I say hate watching because that's kind of the phrase that has happened where, you watch the Guardians and the Guardians are facing the Tigers as we're recording. So I'm watching the Tigers and they're actually kicking the snot out of the Guardians. But I see the guys that are going through this lineup, and I can't help but think, like, for a team that is so incomplete, man, Willi Castro would look good on that roster.
Well, the great thing and the appropriate thing about Castro being in the All-Star game is he would look good on any roster. He's the kind of player that any team can use at any number of different positions. I know that I think the Twins broadcast made note of it late in June when he didn't set a record, but he became like the second player, I think, other than Zach McKinstry, to appear in 20 plus games at 5 different positions in a season. And it's only, June 29th when this happened. So, but I think I had more of an idea of how important Castro is to Rocco and the coaching staff before opening day, when I got a chance in Kansas City to talk to Derek Falvey in the dugout at Kauffman Stadium. Not that kind of cough, but the other kind. And I asked him, I basically, why is Castro not DH? Why is he in the outfield and not DHing as opposed to?
You and I had a long discussion about this,
right? And he's like, well, basically the answer to my question was, Rocco would hamstring Rocco's versatility machine if Castro were to start a game at DH, and then once you move him to a position somewhere else in the field, then you would lose the DH for the rest of the game. So it was kind of like one of those exploding brain meme gifs. I'm like, all right, I understand a little bit more. And ever since then, it's just clear that Castro sort of embodies the attitude that Rocco wants the entire roster to take. If you notice, there aren't a lot of guys on the team who sit very much. If you're not on the bench at the beginning of a game, there's a very good chance by the 5th inning you're going to be playing. And I think that is, it's everybody would love it if the Twins were able to spend more money on more expensive players who played 9 innings. I think maybe they could use 1 or 2 more guys like that on the roster. But in the meantime, you want to have a kind of a roster that's lean and hungry and ready to play and ready to pitch in at any moment. And I think that is part of the attitude that has made them resilient through some down times, through some slumps, through some losing streaks. And I think over the course of 162 games, it's a very healthy and effective way to play baseball. And Willi Castro definitely embodies that.
For your money, what position do you like or prefer to see him play? Because, like, if I look back on a guy like Ben Zobrist, I don't have a position in my mind that I associate with him whatsoever. And with Castro, kind of a similar deal where, I like his arm. So at 30 is helpful, but I like his athleticism. The other day he played, I think you and I went back and forth on this, where he played short, and it wasn't Brooksley and it wasn't Kyle Farmer. Farmer played second. I had always assumed Farmer was the utility infielder / number 2 shortstop. I honestly don't know that I have a preferred spot for him, which I think works to his favor. And whatever Rocco needs on a given day, it's whatever the boys need. That's Willi Castro's role on a pretty dang good ball club. And when you see teams who are good top to bottom, almost to a man, they have a guy like this. Ben Zobrist is synonymous with those Rays teams and then the late Cubs teams for a reason. The Dodgers had Kike Hernandez. They had Chris Taylor. They've had Max Muncy. Guys like this are inherently valuable on very good ball teams. I do not have a position preference. I just love watching Willi Castro play baseball.
If you look at the numbers, at least in what sample sizes we get, he seems to be best at third. Willi Castro does, though. That's his most positive. Short. It's hard to play shortstop. 1 day a week, or center field 1 day a week, or it's those are kind of the captains of the infield and outfield. And I think everybody would agree that Byron Buxton is the best center fielder for the Twins, and that everyone would agree that Carlos Correa is the best shortstop for the Twins. As far as who's the best third baseman is, it is probably Willi Castro. But it could be Brooks Lee given time. We've seen Royce Lewis play third, and he's not. He's struggled at times with certain aspects of it, but also he basically almost started the season hurt and hasn't had a lot of time to grow into that position. I would say third base, if you had to put Willi somewhere every day, that would probably be his best position. But really his best position is being able to go wherever the Twins need him to go.
What's funny, too, is he's a switch hitter besides. So, like, if there wasn't enough variability to his skill set, oh, by the way, he's got 2 swings to maintain. He's got 5 fielding gloves that he's got to bring along with him.
Right.
Imagine having not. Oh my goodness, Austin Hedges is pitching right now for the Guardians in the seventh inning.
It's come to that.
Yeah, they're down by 9. Anyway,
it only counts as one game in the standings, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I want to bring that up too when we come back around here. But yeah, Willi Castro named to the All-Star team. He will replace Jose Altuve on the roster. Marcus Semien will be shifted to starting. I also want to ask you about utility players and All-Stars, if that should be a spot to vote on. But let's first take our final break. And then, yeah, when we come back, I've got a couple of different things I want to throw at you before we call it an afternoon. We have our friends over at Booking.com wanting you to know that this episode of Locked On Twins is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games. You want to go to the All-Star game, you can do that, although you should probably have tickets by now if that's the case. But if that's something that's up to you or you want to just visit U.S. cities with or without baseball, Booking.com is the place to go. We're talking about not only rival cities, but if you want to go to Atlanta, you want to go to San Diego, there's a lot of options, and Booking.com wants to help you. From hotels overlooking stadiums, family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Kansas City all have their bits of charm, and Booking.com wants to get you there. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. And Game Time wants to know that if you're looking for tickets to go to a ball game, you must check the Game Time app. If you got to go on the website, it's gametime.co. Make sure you are .co. I love going to games in the summer. You love going to games in the summer. We all love it. And if we're not covering it, Game Time is the place to find the tickets you need. Lots of different options and features that you love. Last minute deals, you save up to 60% on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they've got it. Flash deals give you in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game and or event. Zone deals, you pick a zone, they find you the best tickets. All-in pricing, you toggle that little lever and you do not have to worry about those secret fishy fees at the end of your transaction. You know exactly what you're going to pay up front. You get panoramic seat views too, so you can see exactly what it's going to look like when you are in your seat, so you can get excited about your location and map all that out, find the nearest hot dog stand and all that good stuff. And the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find the ticket in a better price elsewhere. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and all tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, I did want to note that, it's kind of funny. I don't feel like Guardians fans are as chirpy as they were a couple of weeks ago. And not a lot of, there's a few browsers of rabble in Twins Twitter that will post things just to get Guardians fans riled up. And it worked. Like,
it does.
Worry about you. We don't even think about you. Well, it's about to be 4.5. And, I don't think they're feeling as comfortable as they were a couple of weeks ago.
I would imagine that most of them are smart enough to know that it's a long season and not to get too ahead of yourself and all that stuff. But the Guards they got off to such a hot start, and the Twins got off to such a weird start that, you kind of can't help yourself. And if you hang around on Twitter long enough, you're going to take the bait, whatever it is. And, it's not just Cy Louis, but it's I would say Cy Louis is among the, I don't want to say worst offenders, because that would make it sound like I'm against what Cy Louis does. I'm kind of for it. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's because it's so much fun.
It's art. It really is art. Like it's an exceptional art form.
But it's also it's consistent, and it's kind of hitting the same Greg with 4Gs kind of said, it's hitting the same note harder and harder over and over again. Eventually, you're going to get the fish to bite, and the Guardians fans who respond, they just can't help themselves. But I think what really is going on here is every fan base is like this. The Guardian fans, they're very insecure about their own team, and that is not special to Guardian fans whatsoever.
It's not even a knock either. It just is what it is.
It's not even a knock. That's how really devoted baseball fans are. But they have not won a World Series since 1948.
Yeah,
that's a long time. Most of them have not been that certainly are on Twitter. They don't remember that. They remember the close calls, getting to the World Series and losing it. And they really are expecting the worst. That's kind of the funny thing about the being front runners at the beginning of the season, and kind of pointing and laughing at what the Twins are. That the Guardians fans in here don't believe a word of it. They are waiting for a collapse, be it sooner or later. They're waiting for the Twins to overtake the Guardians, or most assuredly some kind of postseason disaster to end their own season. So that's what they're waiting on. No matter what they say, no matter how they sound on Twitter, they are the least confident group among a wider group of baseball fans that lacks confidence.
It's a neurotic game anyway. Like, it's just a game that you ride the highs and lows, and you have to kind of stay in the middle of both of those. Joe Ryan starting on Friday. Do you think there's any chance he joins the AL All-Star team as we get closer to Sunday, and maybe some other guys are starting and have to bow out? Because if you start Friday, you would have a chance to pitch again in the All-Star game on is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah. So
yes. Some people, once Castro made the team, I saw a couple replies like, "Yeah, Joe Ryan and somebody else are next." Yeah, right. I think there is a possibility. I don't know what the voting or whatever you call it for, among the managers or coaches or the league office or whoever. I'm not sure who picks the next guy in line.
Right.
But based on Seth Lugo is starting Saturday.
Okay.
So, but starting Sunday, I meant to have this ready. Who's starting Sunday? There's somebody important is starting Sunday.
Well, I can tell you who's starting for the Twins. The Twins have Chris.
No, it's not him. Oh, it's Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert is starting Sunday, and Seth Lugo is starting Saturday. Those are two guys. Logan Gilbert. That means Logan Gilbert ain't pitching.
Right.
So he's going to be replaced, and I think there's a chance that Lugo will be replaced too. Although, that's such an amazing that would really be too bad based on his journey. To not pitch in the game, but it's not like he's going to go anyway. So I think there's at least two opportunities, certainly one with Gilbert for a replacement. And that I would say Joe Ryan is, in my limited research, is among maybe three guys who are in the running for that spot. So I think there's a chance, yes.
Yeah. And relievers is a little weirder just because there's so many of them. A lot of them are having good years. You don't know if they'll back out for any specific reason. It's not as though it could be a reliever. It could be Griffin Jacks because it's a starting. I'm talking about maybe replacing a starting pitcher, but none of them go. If anybody goes 2 innings, it's an upset anyway. So you could easily replace Griffin Jacks. Could be the guy too. So even if it's a starter who needs to be replaced. Twins wrap up the unofficial first half of the season with the Giants on the road. Harrison, Birdsong, Snell. Guardians, meanwhile, are on the road in Tampa. So we'll see what that promises. I know that I think Carlos Carrasco is starting the opener of that series. So the Twins have a chance to close some more ground. I don't know. Over under, do you think they'll be closer than they are right now to get into the break? Let's say 4.5, which is what they'll be after this game ends. Do you think they gain any ground here before the end of the break?
I don't want to be dismissive of your question. Here's how I'm going to answer that. Let's continue to take the long view and not try and worry about cutting it into it before a break. It's a very artificial deadline. It doesn't necessarily have any meaning. I would say that there is some truth to how you feel about yourself going into the second half based on how you finish, but that's much more general than a hard wins and losses and games back kind of thing. If you've noticed, the Twins have gone from quickly 7 or 8 back to maybe 5 back to 9, down to 6 and 4.5. So it's breathing. Let's let it breathe a little bit. Remember, there's 80 games left. I don't know if the Twins will be closer because look at what happened with the White Sox series. It was a very difficult time in Chicago. The Twins did gain ground, but it was not easy, and they almost lost it. So that's why you just got to take things easy. Let's take it easy. Let's not be like Guardian fans going for the bait on Cy Louis.
Well, let's not cut into the apple or the tomato before it's ripe. That's good advice there, Dave Brown. He is Dave Brown. By the way, we're going to take a 23-hour break, or a theoretical 23.5-hour break. And then when we come back, I think we may end up having a list of guys that we want to see the Twins target or that we like as trade targets. Beyond that, just our regular analysis. Thank you again, Dave. We'll catch you again on the flip side. This is Brandon Warren signing off. And on behalf of Dave Brown saying, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we'll see you tomorrow
night.